As a college student, or even as an adult, you may have somehow come across a link to your favorite television show with Chinese subtitles. I don't know how you may have gotten there, but the likelihood is that it comes from Youku, one of China's major digital media distribution platforms. A YouTube competitor, Youku actually is one of the places that a lot of people may find their favorite television shows streaming online and available for access. Youku is a YouTube competitor that's available in the US, but in the Chinese market, YouTube is not actually available. So we right now have an incongruity in terms of the type of digital media that are available in China and the US. What my research does is looks at that incongruity, looks at that difference in terms of access for American companies into the Chinese market and Chinese companies into the American market. What we've seen now is an explosion of really fantastic Chinese companies expanding their market share to global markets to distribute digital media, but a difference in terms of the type of access that American companies have to the Chinese market. This actually comes from the year 2000 WTO accession agreement that China made protecting its audiovisual industries. But since the year 2000, there's been a huge change in terms of the type of distribution practices that Chinese audiovisual companies are engaging in. So this major change has really altered the way in which we need to perceive these industries. To top that off, a lot of Chinese companies are actually raising capital on US markets. So for example, Youku, the example I cited previously, raised capital on the NASDAQ stock market and actually has to publish its quarterly earnings and investor relations statement in English for American investors or for global investors into the NASDAQ stock market. So this sets up an interesting question. What does it mean, and what should we do? So what my research proposes is for the US trade representative to, in conjunction with Chinese government officials, start to reevaluate the relationship between Chinese and American companies in the context of digital media distribution.
China in the last few years has come up with a lot of surprises. Its development has been very fast over the last 30 or 40 years. It surprised us by setting up a robot to the moon just in the last couple of years. It's also surprised us in many other ways, and Chinese companies investing in America in a way that probably most Americans weren't anticipating. Dr. Kokas's research is very important because she's one of the first people to really look at more in depth how part of the Chinese economy most Americans didn't even know existed is not only thriving and growing very, very rapidly in China, but they're actually becoming involved in the United States as well. And this directly affects American competitiveness and American jobs. And so even though the fact that the Chinese government isn't allowing for American internet companies or American media companies to participate in China's media industry, it does affect us back here in the United States because those are American jobs, and this is an area of technology and innovation that America leads the world in. And so Ann is correct to point out that American government officials need to take up this issue and talk about these changes and include them in their discussions with the Chinese government about how to create more of a level playing field in this very important part of the American economy.